Hey guys, it's Rachel, and this is my knitting podcast, Hello Rachel the First Knits. This has been kind of a long awaited update for me, but Nutcracker season had to come first, and it kind of kicked my butt, so I didn't have a chance to film. So I do have some really exciting progress on a couple of long-term whips, a couple of finished objects, and I'm really excited to talk about what I want to make in 2025. Okay, so my first finished object, and probably like the most exciting one to me, is this. This is my, I don't know what I'm calling it, my ice star wrap, I guess. And it is this just kind of big rectangle of lace. I'm gonna try not to hit the microphone like last time. Of this, I believe it's called like hearts and crosses lace pattern. I don't know. I looked it up on some like knitting website. But yeah, it's really glittery. It's made of this discontinued payette yarn by Patton's Yarn, I think, in this periwinkle color. And I've been getting a ton of use out of this since I finished it. I've been wearing it as kind of like a warm-up skirt during like bar, and I've been getting a lot of compliments on it. Everybody loves it, and my ballet teacher Eric is coveting it, and he's like, why didn't you put sleeves on that sweater for me? And I have to be like, well, it's mine. It took me 10 years. It's mine. But yeah, I'm really proud of this. I can't believe it's finally done. It was one of those works in progress where I would keep coming back to it and then get burned out on like how much work there was still to go for this, and put it aside, do something else for a while. And this last couple of months, I've really had this rule for myself where I'm going to finish one thing at a time, and I'm going to have something that is going to be my main squeeze. It's going to be the thing that comes with me everywhere. I will have the pattern in my phone, in my photos, in my important information photo album, and it comes with me until it's done. And this was that. I believe I finished it, I think, at the studio, because if the way that our rehearsals go is like you dance and then you wait around for ages, like sitting on the floor. So bring an activity to do. And for me, that was this while other people are rehearsing. So I finished this there, and everybody was like really excited for me because I'd been working on it for like weeks and weeks, because it was my determination to finish this had made it so that it was very familiar to everybody, and they were really excited for me when it was finally finished. I will try to insert some photo or video of how I wear this and what it looks like when I'm moving around at the bar. And then I got to wear it to dress rehearsal on stage at a couple of the theaters we danced at. And these sparkles have like rainbow in them, and they really like look really cool with stage lights. So this is a very exciting make, and something I think I'll be wearing and using for a super long time. Yeah. The second thing, I like did notes in my like knitting notebook, and I even forgot to write this down because it's been such a long time. But the second thing that I'm going to technically call a finished object, even though it's already been finished, is my ranunculus. I knitted this out of, I think it's called Bonnell or Bommelin. It's all in cursive, so I was like not really sure which one you're supposed to say it as, if it's an N or an M. But this was done in the summer, but it was really tight on my head. Whenever I'd put it on, I'd kind of have to like really squeeze my head in there. And I have like a pretty small head. Like headphones don't fit me. I have a small head, that small. So I decided I wanted to bite the bullet and use my leftovers. And then I cut off the original neckline, and I did a modification that I think I heard from Casey of Young Folk Knits. She mentioned that she made one of her ranunculuses with, instead of the rapid increase, like right underneath the neckline, like she just casted on the amount of stitches that you would have increased during that round after the neckline. She cast that many on to start with and just knitted the neck ribbing with that many stitches. So that's what I did too. I went back and I had to like pick up here. So instead of like casting on with that many, I like cut and ripped, and it was really hard to rip out this twisted rib with increases, let me tell you. And then I put those stitches back on the needle, and then I knitted around in twisted rib like up this way instead, and then bound off with a larger size of needle just to be sure that that bind off would be extra stretchy, and just like a regular like bind off, you know, normal. And yeah, so then it was done. And this is a summer shirt, so I can't really see myself wearing it anytime that soon. One thing about this Bono lin that I don't love is that I think it's because of the cotton, but even though it is a machine washable yarn, when I dry it, which I like to do because it really softens it up when I put it in the dryer, it like shrinks and then it gets shorter. So like it's cropped, but it's like extra super cropped because of the washer and dryer. So I don't know, but I'm sure in the summer I'll get some use out of it. It's just not really like work wear. One time I did wear it to work since it shrunk, and I had like a sweater or something over it. I think it was like a wool like jacket, and I like unbuttoned it because it was really hot, and one of my students was like, "Miss Youngman, why are you wearing a belly jacket or a belly shirt?" And I was like, "Well, I'm never wearing this again to work." So that's that. But that is technically another finished object that is not only finished, but finished like the way I want it so that it fits in a way that I'm happy with. The third finished object I don't have with me, but I do believe I took a photo of them all together before I started like taking them places. But I had a crop of about 5 knitted bunnies, including the one that I knit to in the last episode when I had like all these works in progress, but nothing was done. I have a bunny from that. And then I have 4 more. So after I finished my Stella quilt cushion, I had lots of little remnants of this. What's this called? Sirdar Country Classic, which is a 50% acrylic, 50% wool blend. It's like cheaper than Woolies, and it has like a higher wool content. So I think it's a really good find if you're looking for a machine washable and kind of like durable, cheap blend with acrylic yarn. So I had these leftovers, and I actually made a bunny with each of the colors. So I held it together with this, sorry, let me get way up close, right in your face. I held it together with this Surrey alpaca from Drops in the like kind of like nutty brown colorway. And I held this together with each of the different colors, so they all like marled together with the brown so that the bunnies looked like fluffy and like kind of natural. Even though one of them was like pink, it still looked like kind of natural because it had the brown fluff in there. And then I just like omitted this for the detail areas, like the ears and the tail. Yeah. And actually, this Surrey alpaca is left over from making this sweater. I forgot about this knitting podcast convention. Right now I'm wearing my Tulip pullover by Melody Hoffman. This is like a really beautifully constructed like raglan sweater with a super, super pretty like boat neck neckline, and scalloped hem here. I took some better photos of myself wearing this to put on Ravelry earlier, so I'll put those up maybe for you. But I love this sweater. I knitted it not last summer, but the summer before, and I bought like way too much of this, and I still have a couple of skeins of the yarn, which is Stonehedge Fiber Mill Roxy, and then this is obviously the drops Surrey alpaca. So, oh, and then I was also wearing my layer cake leg warmers earlier, but then when I was moving stuff around to get ready for filming, I got really warm, so I took them off. But they're here, they're next to me. I'm gonna wear them when I go outside because it's freezing outside today. It's like 0. The pavement is like all white from the salt, and I don't know why it gets white like that. Like I think it's the salt, but it's also the cold. Maybe it's like the frozen salty water. Comment if you know why the pavement turns white when it gets really cold. Anyways, I'm going out for coffee with my sisters in a little bit. I just saw like a text pop up, so I'm like, I hope they didn't leave without me, but I'm gonna be a while, so maybe they did, and that would be fair, honestly, but I'll beat them. I have a funny story. I got these cups at Goodwill, and I just thought they were cute, but I was like, I don't know why it says everyday dose on them. But then one of my friends from dance showed up drinking mushroom coffee out of an everyday dose, because it's like an S, not a Z, even though it looks like a Z, but it's backwards. Anyways, and so I found out that my beloved mushroom mugs are actually from a coffee company. And by mugs, I mean glasses. But those are really cute. I was going to have coffee, but then I was really hot, so I just had water. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the bunnies. What a tangent, Rachel. So I found those bunnies addicting to knit. I ended up going like step by step. Like I'd knit 4 heads, and then I would knit, 2 ears on each head, and then I would go on and do the next step and next step. So I did them in kind of a batch, which honestly I'd recommend because I pretty much have that pattern memorized now, because I would repeat each step so many times in a row that I would memorize the directions for that step, and then I wouldn't need to look at my pattern after a while. And the pattern, by the way, is the teeny tiny bunny. I'm making another one now with like my leftover scraps, and it's honestly such a fun challenge to like figure out how to make the scraps like go as far as you can. So for this one, I am marling together the brown with both of them to kind of unify the colors, but I ran out of my first full ball of white, and this white is the same country classic. I just decided not to use it for the background of my Stella quilt cushion because I thought it was too white, but with the bunnies, that's not an issue because it gets marled together with the brown. So I finished my first white on this right before the bunny's butt. So then I used the pink for the ears and for the tummy, and I think I'm gonna have enough left to do all 4 feet, but if I don't have quite enough left, I will do like 2 or 3 feet in the pink and then 1 foot in the white. So it'll be kind of like a calico bunny. And this is what I'm talking about how I omitted the Surrey alpaca for the insides of the ears and for the tail. The pattern has you use like a pink mohair inside the ears, but I did that with one of the bunnies, and since they're all such weird colors anyways, I didn't feel like it really made a difference, and it also didn't like help the ears stand up as much, which was something I kind of wanted. So this is the current bunny I'm working on, so I guess we're technically in works in progress now, but the other 5, I gave 1 to my grandma. I gave 1 to my beloved friend Becca because she loves stuffies, and she's one of my ballet friends, but she's taking a break from dance. I wanted to give her like a little extra Christmas thing. And then I have the other 3 bunnies are they're in my classroom right now, and in the new year they're going to be reading buddies for my students. So None of those are here right now, but this one I think is going to stay here because Pan, my black cat, loves to play with these because they smell all like sheepy and goaty, and she likes to bat them around the apartment. So yeah, I guess that's my current work in progress. After I finish this pink and white one, I would like to try a white and navy one, and I think for this one I'll do the head in navy, and then the inside of the ears in white, and then go down the back with as much navy as I can until I use it up, and then the rest of the bunny will be white. The way you knit these, by the way, is you cast on for the head, you knit this weird shaped thing, and then you pick up along that for the ears, and then you start like sewing edges together, and it eventually arrives in like a bunny shape. And then you pick up from the head once the head is completely done, knit the back, knit the tail, fold over, knit the bottom of the bunny, and then pick up for the feet on either edge. And it does have you pick up separately for the front and back of each foot. So it's kind of like a lot of like picking up and casting off and sewing together. But it works and it's not that bad. So I like doing it. And this is really satisfying to me to see these scraps go away. I've been accumulating kind of a lot of yarn scraps for a while, in addition to like my stash, and the scraps were starting to pile up in a way that was maybe stressing me out a little bit. So I've been really loving seeing the scrap pile go down as I get more and more cute bunnies. So yeah, I'm going to keep going on the bunnies. I love the bunnies. Anything else that I forgot about the bunnies? Oh, and then I stuff them with polyfill, and sometimes if there's a little bit of leftover yarn, like for my gray one, I stuffed the little bit of gray leftover yarn inside the bunny because it was like way too small a quantity to use anywhere else. And then if one of the seams of the bunny was ever to pop, I could just reach inside that seam and take out the gray yarn and then use that gray yarn to sew the bunny back up. Yeah. All right, my other works in progress are, should I show you the one you know about or the one you don't know about? I'll start with the one you do know about. The other one, I'll explain why you don't know about it in a second. So this is my first work in progress, and as you can see, it is really almost done because I'm in the process of binding off. This is my Mermaid Melody Beach Dress, which is a pattern I self-drafted for my vacation this summer. It obviously was not done in time for vacation, but then I had other priorities, so I was kind of okay with that. I have written down all the notes for this pattern and the beading. However, because of the way the beading pattern is set up with the increases, I couldn't chart it out necessarily. It's just written in like knitting shorthand. So I'm like, I have the pattern for this, but I'm not sure if it would actually be useful to anybody because I know most people prefer to knit from charts, and this is it was kind of a headache to write up. But I am very, very excited to wear this. I'm planning to go to like my local pool and take some photos of it as soon as I'm done, just because I'm really, really excited about it and I really want to wear it even though it's not summer yet. And I do have like a pink swimsuit ready to go underneath this. And then I'm actually doing, I'm kind of excited about this. I'm doing a beaded bind off, like a very stretchy beaded bind off. So I'm really trying to like use up as many of the beads as I can before this project is done. And then I'm using this clover crochet hook that's 0.6 millimeters, and I'm keeping my beads in this little like manipulative container that I borrowed from my classroom supply stash to hold my beads until I'm done, because then I can kind of like look in them and be like, oh, I think I want like a matte one next. So it's easier than like reaching inside the little bead tube every time to have them in there. And then I can mix them in with the different vials of beads I have so they blend together a little better. Yeah, so I would imagine this will be done by the next time I see you. And I'm super, super excited. It is like just as beautiful as I had dreamed it would be when I made that like mood board for it. It's coming out exactly like I wanted. And I think the hem is going to be really swishy and sparkly and flowy and fishnetty. Yeah, I'm very excited about this. But that's almost done, so I'll show you next time. I'll just stick this down here. The next thing is something that you don't know about because I started it last winter before I started doing this like podcast format. But this is my Varde sweater, which is a pattern by Rauma garn, and it is a colorwork sweater that is actually knitted from the bottom up. And this is why you don't know about it, because I started this actually last winter and then I took a break for the summer because this is like the winteriest, like snowiest thing I could have been knitting, and I just like wanted to focus on summer when it was summer. But I started it last winter and I just knit the sleeves, and I love this way of making a sweater. I love a bottom up yoke sweater because you can just cast on like mindlessly to the sleeves, and it's like knitting a sock. Like you're not carrying anything huge around with you. You only have to have one color of yarn. And you don't have to constantly like try it on to see how long it is, because I decided I was going to put my complete faith in the pattern and really hit gauge and let that determine my sweater fit. Because one of the things I really love about this pattern, and the reason why I chose it, is because I think colorwork yoke sweaters can be a little bit iffy on the fit, but this one had such a beautiful fit in every single photo that I looked at of it. So I just decided to like just trust. So I knitted the sleeves last winter and then put it aside. So this has been a work in progress for like a year. I just haven't been actively working on it. Yeah, and super portable, super fun, super easy. And then in like mid-November, I think I casted on the bottom of the body, knitted the ribbing, and then knitted up the body. And then maybe like a week-ish before we broke for winter break from school, I connected the sleeves at the underarms to the body, and this has really nice shaping. It has, a few like raglan rounds here before you get up to the colorwork, so that the connection between the three pieces is really like established very well, before you start having to like worry about floats and everything and like how the fabric is pulling at itself. Yeah, I will say, the joining of the three was a little bit of a headache because the cable of your circular needle will have to like buckle kind of around the sleeve and then around the body and then around the other sleeve, and you feel like you're like pulling at your stitches and making them really loose. But within a couple of rounds, it had kind of resolved itself. So yeah. Thoughts about this project? I have a knitting style that does not lend itself particularly well to colorwork. I'm a thrower. I can't knit continental. I have tried. It really hurts my left index finger, the one that you would hold the yarn that you're going to pick at from. I'm really bad at tensioning with that finger, and the way that I like to knit is I keep my right needle, let's see, like this needle stays pretty much stationary, and I do most of the motion of going into and out of the stitches by moving this needle around. So having yarn in this hand as well as that just didn't work. Like, it was making the tension super weird of the yarn, and it was making it hard for me to manipulate my left needle to push the stitch onto the right needle, and then like wrap the yarn. Like, I'd let go of with this hand to wrap the yarn. So I just gave up on that eventually, and I just decided to do one-handed color work, which is what I'm more comfortable with and I find easier and more enjoyable. Probably like slower, but whatever. And let's see, I tried the two-handed color work like down here, and you can kind of see, well, maybe you can't, but I sure can, that the floats there are like just a little too tight, and these crosses are starting to pucker a little bit. It's not terrible, so I think it'll block out okay, but once I switched to two-handed and really focused on the spacing of the stitches that had recently been knitted to determine the float length. Hi, this is Editing Rachel. Don't mind my look. I just got back from ballet and I'm sweaty. I just wanted to hop in and explain what I was about to say here, because if you're very eagle-eyed, you might have even noticed it, but there was a point here where my cheapo microphone here, the little clip unclipped and fell off my my hem of my collar of my sweater there. So I just wanted to explain, because the audio for like a minute there is pretty unlistenable before the microphone settles in my lap. But basically, I was talking about how I like to knit really bunched up, because it makes the stitches like go across the needles faster if I don't have to like reach around and like scooch them to where they're supposed to be. So my floats were really, really super short for, actually I have it. It's like knitting podcast inception. For these like white and gray sections here at the bottom of the color work, the floats were super short because I was knitting with my usual bunched up style before I remembered Andrea Mowry told me to scooch my stitches on my right hand needle pretty far apart to like even out the float tension. And then I think the audio is pretty bad for this section too, so I'll just explain it. It's even better now that I'm done. But this dark gray section in the middle of the yoke here was supposed to be like white, but the contrast was too low between this like light blue mist color and the gray color. I mean the white color, so I replaced it with the gray color to make a higher contrast. And even in the clip I was talking about it just now, I was like, oh, I don't know how this is going to work, but now that I'm done with it, I think it looks so good, and I'm so glad that I made that change. Maybe I'll just share this since I'm already here, but I am up to the very top section of diamonds right now, and there is a little weirdness in the pattern from the booklet, by the way. And I don't know if you can see this that well in the video, but these like diamonds inside the zigzag up here are like really strangely placed. Like, they don't line up the way that the other two sets of diamonds do, and it's kind of driving me crazy. So I may or may not be like modifying the pattern. I think there's like 40-ish diamonds in my size, or 40-ish zigzags, and I'm supposed to reduce a certain amount, and that's what makes the diamonds like float around detached from the zigzag. So I might just reduce 40 stitches. The only thing is that I'm a little bit worried about how that will make the sizing come out, if that makes sense. Like the way that this fits her shoulders, that looks so good. I'm worried that reducing, let's see, what is it? reducing, it's the men's, decreasing like 40, I think it's 42 instead of 36 stitches will like affect the sizing. But it's fingering weight on US size 3, so I think it'll be okay. I don't know, we'll see what I decide. I plan to film my second video soon. Anyways, I think that's all the bad audio that I had, and welcome back to past me, who was like all prepared for this video and had a nice angle. I find the 3.5 millimeter with palette to be like a super tactilely easy and satisfying combination to knit with. It feels really good in my hands. It doesn't feel like there's too much yarn for the needle or too much needle for the yarn. Like, they fit together really well, and it's easy for my hands to move. I don't get any kind of like wrist pain, any kind of hand pain at all. Yeah, super nice to knit with. I believe that is all of my works in progress, since I already told you about the bunny. My plans for this upcoming year, I do want to use the rest of my Stonehedge fiber mill Roxy and some kind of matching white yarn to knit some kind of either striped or colorwork sweater. I'm still kind of undecided on what I want that to be. I love the pattern of the moon bun pullover by the Petite Knitter, but I'm not sure if I love the fit of that and how much I would wear it. So that's one of my options. The other option is a 3/4 zip sweater, and I'm thinking about either the zipper sweater by Petite Knit, or there's a couple other ones with more of like a structured like zipper placket than the zipper sweater, which I'm kind of leaning more towards that look, the structured look, versus just like a set-in zipper. And so I might do like thin stripes of white and brown for that. I am trying to use this up on the bunnies. I'm not anxious to hold this together with the same yarn. It's this, by the way. This is the combination that makes. I'm not anxious to hold those two together again, because the original yarn has more of like a gray color that I think works a little bit better on me than this does. I kind of feel like I love this sweater. Like, I wear it all the time. It's held up super well. It's beautiful. I get compliments on it all the time. But I kind of have this thing where like I look in the mirror and I feel like it's like made out of my hair a little bit. Like, the color of my hair and the color of the sweater are just like too close, and it makes me feel like it's made out of my hair. Like, no, it's not. It's not made out of my hair. There's probably like a little bit of my hair in there, because that's what happens. But, you know, I mean, it's not that bad. But I don't want to hold those two together. I want the gray color. Yeah. So that's one of my upcoming plans. I think that'll probably happen whenever I finish this Varde sweater. Because I don't want to do two colorwork projects at the same time. Part of this is that it has to be portable for me, because I often will work on my knits as a way to like recharge a little bit while I supervise recess at work. So I like to have something that I can bring with me and I don't have to look at it. I just mindlessly do it with my hands so that I can still like be a good supervisor, obviously. Yeah. So that'll probably be the next thing that happens. I also have some leftovers of the stroll and silk mohair from my layer cake leg warmers. It's like a really delicious, like buttery yarn combination. So I have like quite a few options of what I could knit with that. I'm thinking I'm honestly not sure. I was thinking I would want to knit another no frills sweater, but now I'm thinking I want that to be done without a mohair and with just like 2 strands of like some fingering weight wool yarn. So who knows with that? Or 2 strands of DK weight? I don't know, but that'll become something this year. And I want to make some more face cloths. Now that I'm done with my ranunculus, I don't have to hoard my remaining Bonneau lin anymore. So I'm going to turn it into more like face cleansing cloths, because the one I have made out of that, I love. It's so exfoliating and nice and like a perfect size to just like wash your face without being like a huge washcloth that like drips water down your arms, you know. It's just like little and tidy and like scrubs, and then you're done, and it's really nice. So I want more of those. I'll finish the bunnies. And I also am thinking I might want another pair of like woolen socks. I have a couple that I like to wear. I have a white on white colorwork pair, or like cream on white, that I really like wearing to bed, especially when it's really cold, that are just like 100% wool. So they're kind of more like slippers than socks. They're worsted weight. And it's just like a vanilla sock with some basic like 1x1 color work that I drafted a couple years ago. And I wear those all the time. And then I also have my pink socks that I think have made it onto the channel before, that I call my Copenhagen socks. Because that's, I don't know, that's the vibe, I guess. And I wear those a lot too. And then I also have these little blue ones made with 150-gram ball of knitpicks superwash sock yarn. I think it's called Capretta. And I squeezed out 2 toe-up socks out of 150-gram ball of yarn. So I wear those too sometimes, but they're less hard wearing than the Croy ones. So I do have some Croy leftovers from my Rising Dawn shawl, the gray color, and then I also have some leftover of the pink color. So I thought it might be fun to do some color blocked socks, hopefully toe up, so that I can like use up all the last scraps. But I haven't found a good like heel flap and gusset toe up pattern that I can really rely on. So they might have to be cupped down, but whatever. And then I was kind of inspired to do the color blocked version of them by the other podcaster. Her name is Emily. What's her channel called? You know her. She talks about colors a lot. High Fiber Knits. Emily from High Fiber Knits had some really cute color blocked socks this time last year. So that made me, you know, think about the possibility of using up these scraps of yarn that I love by putting them into socks together instead of separately. Yeah, I have some other things that might be on my mind for springtime, but I'm going to leave those until I'm in the mood to actually make springtime plans, because right now it's really cold. All I want is more woolen sweaters. I wear this all the time. I also wear my Shelly sweater, the white one, all the time. Like, if I wake up, chances are I'm gonna like put on one of these things. So I'm using my knitwear a lot, and I'm really motivated to have more of it to keep myself warm at work and at home and in the studio. So yeah. I think that just about wraps up the video. Oh, I guess one other thing I could mention is I've been teaching my 3rd graders how to knit at school, and it's been really, really cute. Because I will knit as I supervise recess, they come up to me and ask me about it a lot, and a lot of the kids have been like asking, like, can you teach me how? Can I try knitting on your sweater? And I'm like, no, you cannot try knitting on my sweater. Please don't mess it up. But I would love to teach you how to knit. So that was our kind of bonus activity between Thanksgiving break and winter break, was I caked up a lot of my old acrylic yarn that I don't use so much anymore and put it in a basket and brought it to school with me, and I let each kid pick out a color and texture that kind of spoke to them. And I had enough old, like, straight knitting needles that I don't use anymore to bring them all into school, and every kid got a pair. I have a small class, so it was like, okay, I have like 16 students, which is so amazing. Like, that's probably the only reason I could do something that's fun with them, because I have a small class size and we're very lucky. But they each got a pair of knitting needles, and they're knitting now, like, independently. It's crazy. At first I tried like teaching on the document camera, but being able to translate between movements you see on the screen and then your own hands was kind of too high of a level for them. Like, I don't think these kids could have learned to knit from watching YouTube necessarily, but once that kind of crashed and burned, I started like a sign-up sheet in my classroom, and if they wanted a mini lesson in knitting, they could do that during their choice time, and I got the list like rolling. They could sign up. I'd give them like a certain amount of time, and I would just go through and put my hands with their hands and help them feel like how it feels to put the needle like into the stitch, and then I would wrap the yarn for them at the start. But then soon they were like, okay, I got the movement, like in, around, pull it through, slip it off. And then they started being able to wrap the yarn once they had that one-on-one lesson. So that's been pretty cool. Pretty proud of myself for teaching kids how to knit in the course of being a public school educator. And they love it, and they find it just as like calming and fun as I do. Although when it's going wrong, it's not calming at all, and they're like crying and like, "Miss Young, when you have to help me fix it right away, or it's gonna get terrible." I'm like, "Please put it down. Stop dropping the stitch further down." But the better they get at it, the less that happens, and the easier and more fun it's become for them. So that's my only other knitting related news, I guess. Yeah. So this is the end of the video. Please let me know what you're going to be knitting this coming year, and if you have any suggestions for me for a gray-brown colorway with a cream-white colorway, whether it's like a striped pattern or a colorwork pattern, I'm still not sure what I want to do with it. So whatever. Yeah, that's about all I have. I'm going to sign off now, but I hope you have a lovely 2025, and I will see you much sooner than I said I would last time. There's no ballet going on right now. I'll be back soon. Okay, bye.